You know that very specific silence that falls over a hospital ward at like 3 a.m.?
Oh, yeah. The rest of the city is asleep, but inside, you are wide awake.
Right, exactly. You're adjusting IV lines, checking lab results, and just, holding back yawns. And there's this heavy expectation that you're just this ultimate caregiver running endlessly on an empty tank.
Yeah, people see the white coat or the scrubs, and they just assume you've got this infinite supply of resilience, like you're somehow immune to the exact suffering you treat every day.
So true. Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We're exploring the realities of mental health for healthcare professionals right here in Malaysia, and we're using the book Jom Mindful Gym Now as our guide today.
It's really such an eye-opening look at how we care for the people who care for us.
It really is. And the book uses this great idea of a Techam life to describe working in the clinics or wards. Since we're in Malaysia, we all know that mix, right? The bitter coffee and the sweet tea.
Right, you get the bitter challenges of the job, but also those incredibly sweet moments of actually helping someone heal.
Exactly. But let's look at the bitter part for a second. We hear terms like stress, anxiety, and major depressive disorder thrown around all the time.
We do, yeah. It gets confusing.
Right. So what is actually happening in the body that separates, say, a really tough shift from a clinical disorder?
Well, everyday stress is just a natural response. Think of it like a car engine revving to merge onto a busy highway. I mean, it's built to do that.
Right. It keeps you alert during a chaotic on-call shift.
Exactly. But anxiety disorders and major depressive disorder, those happen when the gas pedal gets stuck to the floor for months.
Wait, so the engine just never stops revving?
Yeah, your nervous system physically loses the ability to downshift. The chronic pressure actually changes your brain chemistry over time.
Oh, wow. So it's a physical change.
It is, and that's why clinical anxiety or major depressive disorder aren't things you can just, sleep off on a Sunday. They require professional assessment and treatment.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here, though. Look at the reality of a busy ward. You've got coding patients, severe short staffing, an overflowing waiting room.
I know, it's intense.
Right. Isn't toughing it out literally in the job description? I mean, you can't exactly take a mental health day in the middle of triage.
I completely get that. And the system definitely pushes that narrative. But trying to be too strong for too long is exactly what breaks the engine.
So pushing through just makes it worse in the end.
Right. Acknowledging you're overwhelmed isn't weakness. It's basic maintenance. If you completely burn out, you can't help anyone in that waiting room. You just can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, that danger of toughing it out really hit me when reading a specific story from the source. There was this young doctor posted in Borneo for his housemanship.
Oh, I remember that story. It carries a lot of weight.
It really does. He was dealing with this incredibly steep learning curve and felt completely isolated over there.
And you can really feel the despair in his experience.
Totally. It got to the point where the isolation and pressure triggered severe panic attacks and eventually major depressive disorder.
Which is just heartbreaking.
It is. He felt like a total failure. The stigma of a doctor being the one who was sick was so heavy that he actually just quit medicine entirely.
Well, what's really profound there is what it says about our medical culture. We expect healthcare workers to just have all the answers.
Right, like you're supposed to be superhuman.
Exactly. But that young doctor, he only began to heal when he finally took off the white coat, sat on the other side of the consultation table, and allowed himself to be treated as a vulnerable human being first.
Meaning the stethoscope has to come second.
Absolutely. Experiencing a mental illness didn't make him a bad doctor. In fact, getting professional help actually gave him his life back.
And didn't he eventually return to practice?
He did. And that experience made him a profoundly more compassionate physician.
So, bringing all this together for you listening right now, whether you're on a break between rounds or, driving home, the core takeaways from Joel Mindful Gym Now are super clear.
Right. First, stress is a natural tool, but when that gas pedal gets stuck, you're dealing with clinical conditions like major depressive disorder that need real medical attention.
Second, you are a human being first and a professional second.
And third, sitting on the other side of that consultation table to ask for help is an act of deep wisdom. It is not a sign of weakness.
Which brings us to a simple action you can take today. The next time you feel completely overwhelmed on the ward, before you react to the next demand, take just one conscious, mindful breath.
Just one breath. It creates this tiny but crucial space between the external pressure and your internal reaction.
I love that. And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a new thought to chew on. If our medical training spent just as much time teaching doctors how to diagnose their own burnout as they do diagnosing rare diseases.
Oh, that is a great point.
Right. How many more brilliant, compassionate physicians would we still have in our hospitals today?
A question that is definitely worth asking.
Because even at 3 a.m. on the ward, you deserve care too.